All right. Well, thank you all so much who registered for the first, I guess, course class in the Giant Slayer virtual learning series. Stay or Go, what you need to know before quitting your day job to start a business. And so we have two guests with us today. Well, one right now, Tony Tipton from Yape Hair and Skin LLC, and of course, it be your own family. My husband is coming on and has not made it on yet. So I'm going to go ahead and just sort of introduce what we're going to be doing tonight. And, y'all move slow anyway. And I can see as of right now, y'all are late as well. So we're going to just slow walk it and get into this so that you guys can come on, whether you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook, so that we can really get into the meat of what's happening here. So I realize I need to exit out of that. So we wanted to, I wanted to have this particular topic, stay or go, what you need to know before quitting your day job to start a business. Because it was something that I was absolutely torn over when I was making a decision to launch out into entrepreneurship. It's that fear of, do I leave my company and leave my safety net and launch out and start a business? How do I do that? There's always more to consider than just your passion for whatever it is you're doing. Things like how you gonna pay the mortgage, you have kids, how do you do that? And, just how much do you need to have in terms of a nest egg? And all of these questions really, really sort of weighed on me as I was, really thinking about starting a business. And so I didn't for a long time. I just didn't do anything. It was like the fear of not knowing whether I should quit my job or keep my job was absolutely paralyzing for me. And so, long story short, obviously here I am having stepped out in business, but what I do recognize is this is also an issue for other people who have great ideas, who are really passionate about something that they know that they can monetize, that they can commercialize, but it's that fear of, when is the right time to do it? Should I stay on my job and sort of work this as a side hustle, or should I? And look who is coming. Hi.
That's sorry, okay. The computer wouldn't work. So I'm trying to get the computer to work. Sorry.
Yep. No, you're good. So we're already live. So I'm introducing. So you're fine. But yeah, so I know that other people are really grappling with this question. What's sort of the best option for me? Should I stay at my full-time job, work my passion as a side hustle, or should I just launch out into the deep? And so I thought there was no better way to really sort of deal with this and give some insight and information and perspective into the pros and cons of both, other than having two people who have done it in very different ways. So I'm going to be introducing first my husband, Adrian Archie, who is the owner-operator of Pet in Mind. And the next, Tony Tipton, who is the CEO and owner of Yape Hair and Skin LLC. So now I'm going to pass to Adrian really quickly just to introduce himself and talk a little bit about his journey, because I have some very specific questions for both of them. And then we'll let Tony sort of jump in and introduce herself after that.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me, Malia. First of all, I'm proud of you. I'm here to support totally. It's awesome that I can also talk about a journey and owning a company and doing the things I'm doing. But this is awesome to be on your platform and supporting you. So keep doing what you're doing, baby. My name's Adrian Archie. I'm 40 years old from North Carolina. Done a lot of cool things in life, but right now this is probably the most challenging one I've done and probably the most fulfilling. I own a holistic pet store, a pet company. We actually just begin to offer franchises and have some people very interested. So we're moving forward with that. But specifically what we do is we connect people through their pets. That's what we like to do. That's our purpose. That's what we do on a day-to-day basis. Healthy pet, healthy you is what we say. I've done medical devices. I play football, a lot of different experiences, and all of it culminates into this. So I'm just glad to be here. I think we need to do more of this as African Americans for sure, because the experience in our community sometimes isn't there, and it's very specific things we need to know to grow, and we need to do a better job of reaching out to each other and not only teaching but listening too. So thanks for having me, and thanks for letting me speak.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming. I know you're super busy with building the franchise, and so I appreciate the support. Now, Tony, if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey, that'd be fantastic.
All right, so I'm Tony Tipton. I'm 39 years old. I live right outside of Cincinnati, Ohio. So my business kind of was accident. I'm a full-time nurse practitioner and a midwife. I work in Dayton, Ohio, and I started like my lock journey like 13 years ago with my natural hair, and people were always like, "Oh, your locks are so beautiful! Like, who does them? Whatever." And I was maintaining them on my own. And you'll see with like natural hair, you're like, constantly compliment you on your hair, and you're like, "Ooh, yes, whatever." But people were constantly like, "I love your hair. Can you do my locks? Whatever." So I was like, "Okay, let's." I was kind of motivated by my husband. He also has his own business, and I was like, "Let me just try to do this on the side." So I went to Chicago. I took a course on doing locks, and came back. My instructor at the course was like, "You should make your own natural products. People love when you make natural products, whatever." So I started making some of that for my clients, and they loved it. And it was like, "You should sell this. You should sell it." Blah blah blah. So one product turned into 2, turned into 3, turned into 4, and then a little bit more background about me. I have a chemistry degree. So this is my third career. I have a chemistry degree, so that's my passion too, is like science and making things and discoveries, that kind of thing. So that's kind of how the business kind of just took off from word of mouth. I wasn't doing a lot of marketing or anything, just my customers telling other people. And so I had to stop doing the locks and just selling the product, but I'm still working my full-time job. And Malia, I want to thank you for inviting me too. You know how I feel about you. Like, you are like my idol. I love you so much. I admire you from a distance. I love you and your husband's relationship. Adrian, I feel like I know you personally, but I'm so excited about this. And to be on the end, I've been getting a lot of fed into me and growth of my business, and to be able to give it back. So I'm excited about today.
Oh, thank you so much, Tony. You know how I feel about you too. And just for context, we grew up in the same, I guess I would call it a smaller town outside of Cincinnati. Went to grade school together, and I will say Tony has always been known for her brain, for her mind. She is, I mean, is brilliant. So it's not surprising at all that that she would accidentally fall into a dynamic, growing business. But that's exactly why I thought it was important to have this conversation. Because there's so many different ways. First of all, just speaking really quickly, specifically to Black entrepreneurs, I think the statistics are within the last 5 years, there's been something like an increase of Black entrepreneurship by about 50% at least. So there are more Black men and women starting businesses and launching out. And, just people in general. I mean, I think what we saw through COVID in the instability in the market is that, folks that had online businesses, folks that still had a way to, get products to their customer base were able to maintain even through tough times. Not that things didn't slow down, but, there is power in ownership. And so, you know, I commend both of you just for stepping out and starting businesses. But, you know, what I want to talk about specifically is the difference in sort of how you arrived. And so, Adrian, of course, I know your story personally in terms of how you arrived at entrepreneurship, but it certainly wasn't a situation where you were able to build a safety net and to sort of work your business as a side hustle until you figured it out. It was sort of one day you were in corporate America, and then the next day you were writing a business plan. So, you know, without sort of all of the backstory and necessarily how you got there, I mean, it would be great if you could just give some insight into sort of, you know, what that start was like, you know, from the time that you got the idea, hey, you know, I'd rather not go work for another company. I'd rather start my own business until you were able to materialize that.
For sure. So, I mean, I'm a big believer is that if you don't take yourself serious, who else will? So I'm always, and you know, I'm a learner. I like to always learn. I'm always trying to get new information all the time, not simply because I can be the know-it-all, which I like to be, but so I can apply it literally. And that's I the way that I got to a business, it definitely wasn't planned, but I ended up going back to a passion that I had since I was a kid. And when I was forced to leave corporate America like I did, and to figure out if I wanted to go to another company and start over, or if I wanted to follow my passion, you gave me the green light and the support to do it. That was huge, so that I could come out of the depression I was in and start planning. But I really just went back on everything that I had learned in life. I mean, football taught me so much, perseverance, competition, working hard, knowing that if I put in the work and practice, and in the summer and in winter, I know in the season I'm going to be ready to go and probably better than everybody else. It's the work you do. It's not the performance. The performance is a couple minutes. It's the hours and hours. So the knowledge and the work I did there, and honing skill and learning how to be on a team, and learning how to lead teams, and learning how to be consistent. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing in life, is consistency in the right things. But if you're consistent, at some point you're going to arrive. I mean, if you keep showing up and doing the right things. Then two, if you look at my professional career outside of football, you look at medical devices and the things I learned there as far as marketing and business planning, talking to customers, condensing information down so people can understand it. So taking things, concepts that are tough to understand, and bringing it to a point where anybody can understand it, no matter who it is, and learning how to do that depending on the person. That's what I learned in all those roles. So when I was forced, when the day came that I didn't have an option other than, you go somewhere else, you go do it yourself, I just fell back on everything I had learned and started planning, and had a support system in you and the rest of my family that helped. But I think that's life. I think all too often we take our past, we take our history, and we look down on it. Like you look at the failures in life, and you think that is something that holds you back. And yeah, it hurts. I mean, I professional football, I succeeded at it for 2.5 years, and then I got cut 3 times in that process, and that hurt because that was my dream from a child. But when I look back on it, picking myself up from that was developing me to pick myself up from the next failure, which was corporate America.
So if I could stop, just interject a question here. So it wasn't a matter of you not being afraid to launch sort of without the safety net. I mean, I'm sure there was fear there, but it was a matter of doing it afraid, not letting the fear paralyze you.
I mean, the only way you're going to do anything worth big dream is you're going to have to do it afraid. I still don't know what I'm doing. I mean, like I said, we just launched franchises 4 years into it, and I don't know what I'm doing. I literally don't. But I didn't know what I was doing when I started it. I didn't know what I was doing in football until we practiced it. I didn't know what I was doing when I wrote a business plan in my first year, and what I was doing in corporate America until I wrote it and realized that wasn't a good business plan. And next year I better do it better. You got to do it first, and you got to be scared. Fear passes if you let it. You either hold on to it or it passes by. And if it's still there, it's because you're holding on to it.
So, but it was also taking some of those learnings. So even though there wasn't an overlap, meaning, you didn't do Pet and Mind as a side hustle while you were
No,
working for corporate America,
no.
but you were still able to take the things that you had learned throughout your career and apply it forward, even in knowing how to build a business plan and knowing a little bit about how, even though it's a different industry, your marketing background, like all of the things that you had developed over the years were helpful, even when you were sort of forced to launch without that safety net.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what life is, right? I mean, your experiences are for your future. I think I said this last night talking to our daughter, but God prepares you for your future through everything you go through. I'm a huge believer that the moment you're in is you're supposed to be there. Now you need to figure out what your purpose is in that moment. So that I can't help you with that. However, you don't use a hammer to screw in, and you don't use a nail to a screwdriver to nail push a nail. You don't. But once you know who you are, then your destiny is always in front of you, and you pull from what you already know. That's how you surpass the fear and start something, because I failed before. I know this information. I'm not the top marketer in the world, but I got good ideas, right? So that's how you do it.
That's great. I'm going to stop you there because I want to turn to Tony, and I want to talk about you're a midwife.
Yes.
I mean, not only are you, you have a full-time day job, but like a huge career that, is a lot of responsibility. And you talked a little bit in your opening about sort of how this business sort of fell into your lap. So talk a little bit about how you've balanced it and been able to actually formalize it and turn it from a hobby into a legitimate business.
So I'm a full-time nurse practitioner, full-time mom, full-time wife. I have a 14-month-old baby and this business. So the reason why I stay at my job is for a few reasons. It is that safety net. Well, my main number one reason is I love my job. I always wanted to be a midwife. I always wanted to deliver babies. I'm one of 2 Black midwives in Southern Ohio, so it's important for me to be present for Black women, infant mortality, health disparities, like public health. That's my passion too. So it hasn't been a thought in my mind. Everybody's always like, oh, you're going to leave us, my coworkers, you're going to leave us, you're going to blow up and we're never going to see you again. Like, yes, the thought crosses my mind sometimes, but right now I'm in a good space and I love my job, my CEO, my boss. I love it. And I'm able to balance it with the I pay. Another thing for me, staying on the job that I want people to understand is I was able to finance my business through my wages, right? So, you hear about people having to get these loans and do all this stuff. I've been fortunate enough to be able to not have to take out any loans, just using my own money to kind of sustain the business. So that's another thing. As I mentioned earlier, my husband has his own business. So I also carry the benefits, like our health insurance, our 401k with the company match, all that stuff through my job. So I didn't want to just jump out there. And I will say too, even though I'm constantly, like my motto is like, fear is my enemy. I know that's Giant Slayer's thing, but you still have, it's a little piece that's always still there. And it kind of drives me. And it's just like, I'm pushing. I'm afraid, I can't see what's ahead, but I'm like, a part of my personality, I'm just like so driven. Like, I just want to be the best. And I will say with my business, I did not have this mentality for a long time. I went to a seminar talking to women who were already successful business owners. And they told me, I mentioned my business, like matter of factly mentioned my business that I had. And they were like, I don't believe you. I don't, so they kind of pushed me. And I was like, you know what, Tony, you can do this. Like, get over your fears, whatever. And I kind of just really started to say, okay, I have this legitimate business. Like, it can be something great. It doesn't have to be just a side hustle. you don't have to be afraid. Whatever your idea is, you can, jump out on it. And I will say for Adrian, like, I'm like the opposite of you. I have no marketing experience. I don't know anything about like I don't have a business plan. I never wrote out a business plan. I don't have any of that. All I know is like science processes, and that's what I think makes my product a good brand too, because I do take it and treat it like a project. Like I got these trials, like clinical trials, like before I put it out. I'm constantly making I write everything on paper, the formulas, everything before I put something, as basic as hair oil. Like I have to write it out as a process. And I think that what makes my brand really good, but I'm learning, stumbling along the way with marketing, stumbling with, the business aspect, accounting. I don't know any of that stuff.
For sure. That's the beauty of it though, is when you think about it, is that we don't know it all and you're not supposed to. But if you think you're going to get anywhere knowing everything, you can always be trying to figure out everything. You got to start.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that, that's a great point. First, do it afraid. I don't know of anyone who stepped out, whether it's sort of Adrian's case where, he literally, again, one day was in corporate America and the next day was making a decision to start a business and really figuring out, even with all of his experience, what that looked like and where to start, loans and how to bring it all together. And I don't know if you mentioned it, but, and I'm just gonna tell you business because I'm your wife, that was about a 2.5 year, period between initial concept to doors open.
The door. Yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't overnight. Even the decision now, I think, Adrian's situation is probably quasi just launch because, we were married and I was still gainfully employed and able to sort of cover things like you said, Tony, like insurance and things like that. And God really blessed us in that way. But the point that I'm making is that, it still very much was decisions that had to be made to move forward despite not knowing.
Mm-hmm.
And even the things that, you in sort of growing this from what had been a hobby, something you enjoy doing, sort of a side hustle into a legitimate business, there are still things, like you said, that, you're not an expert on. But it is the being willing to learn as you go. My whole thing with my consultancy is helping women specifically get over the fear that has been derailers and excuses for not launching out in business, in ministry, in career advancement, whatever it is. We so often talk ourselves out of the very promise, like the thing that we want the most, because we're waiting for perfection. And perfection is a derailer of progress. Perfection always gets in the way of progress. And so if you don't take anything else away from, this webinar, don't be afraid to start, whether that's like Adrian, or you have to have a conversation with your significant other, or you're single and you have a nest egg, and you can do it. And you're realizing what you're doing is more than a hobby. It really is a business, and that you can monetize it. Start. If you are making the decision that, I want to, I'm like you, Tony, I love my day job. And so, I have people trying to pray me into full-time entrepreneurship, And I'm not saying that it won't happen at some point, but I am absolutely passionate about what I do every day. And so it's, also that, but I don't want to quit my day job.
Yeah, right.
I want to do both. I'm passionate about both my business as well as my day job. But, you know, also not being afraid to move forward, even when you do have a day job. And that means learning, you know, learning how to do, you know, the technology, learning how to do shipping if you have an online business, which brings me to my next point for both of you. How important was it, and I'll start with you, Tony, to be able to reach out and connect with people who had done what you wanted to do, to get insight, mentorship in order to launch?
It's actually made my business, in all seriousness. I know I mentioned this to you before. I got a consultant, Upscale Consulting out of Cincinnati, Ohio. And the CEO of that company, her name is Monique Smith. She's got like 6 different businesses. She actually said to me at the seminar that I was at, like, kind of like, you don't have a business. Like, you don't have a business. And she kind of took me under her wing, and I, like, for free, without anything, like, I just want to help you. I want to help you. And I was like, oh my God, because you know what? You kind of, unfortunately, it's like this competition somehow in the, you know, like we all trying to get there, but people kind of feel like they're competing with you for whatever reason. And I'm just like, no, please, I'll give you all this information. Like, I want to help you as much as I can, you know. I'm sorry, I told you I was full-time mom. My baby is up.
Hi, baby Judah.
She just took me under her wing and helped me so much, and helped me get over the fear. Because one of the things I want to speak on quick, I kept saying, what if it gets big? What if it does this? What if it does that? Like, and then I had to say, what if it does? Like, that's great. Like, but so many people have helped me. Even the name, some of my girlfriends named my business. They help me. I run product ideas past people. Like, you cannot do it by yourself. And people who have already done it have already made the mistakes that you're going to make. So if you can avoid those mistakes at all costs, I highly recommend hiring a consultant. And I consulted with you before, Malia, Giant Slayers. And I mean, in 30 minutes, she got me my whole life, y'all. I'm trying to tell y'all, like, I got it on a piece of paper. I'm going to put it in a frame, what she told me, okay? Because that's $1 million advice that she gave me in 30 minutes. Oh, my goodness. I ended up hiring an accountant to help me, like you said, automate my processes, doing everything. Because I am working full-time, it's hard for me to do everything, right? And regardless of if I'm at work, the company is still going. Like, you know, you like to think that you created these hours of operation, like, oh, I'm open from 9 to 5. Girl, your job is 24 hours.
Right.
And it's always going. So, you know, you have to make it, streamline it in a way that it's working when you're not always there. So right. Yeah, definitely get as much information as I can from other people. Yeah, if you can't afford a consultant, get with somebody who's already doing it. It's okay. It's okay to say, help me. I promise you it is okay.
Yes, you better
need it. You need it. Yeah. And be realistic with yourself. Like, okay, I don't know. Like, when I finally got with my consultant, like I met my accountant. I called Malia like an emergency. I had like a nervous breakdown one weekend because my sales had gone up so much. I was like,
wait a minute, pause. Did y'all hear what she said? She had a nervous breakdown because her sales went up so fast.
I wanted to get up and like curl up in the fetal position. Like, I can't do this. It's too much. It's too much. It's too much. But
I don't think people recognize that, especially when you're doing it the way that you are. You have the full-time job, you're a full-time mom, you're full-time wife, your husband is an entrepreneur. My husband is an entrepreneur. So that means like it's all on go. I mean, the kids know, like everybody, I mean, everything is on go at all times.
Yeah.
And so trying to manage all of that, you would instinctively think an exponential increase in sales is a great thing, and it is, but that is more demand. Those are more orders you have to fill. That's more time that you have to spend, pouring into the business. And so, are you willing to make the necessary sacrifices? You see it across the bottom of the screen, because the reality is, Either model, either launching out into the deep without the safety net, keeping your day job. Launching a business requires sacrifice. It requires you to, one, again, make sure that you're not allowing perfection to get in the way of progress. So that means, and I'm the first to admit, my laundry sometimes gets backed up. I'm not over here doing it because I can't manage it all. And I've given myself permission not to be perfect. I've given myself permission not to be all things to all people. And to your point, that is what having a good coach as you start to launch out will help you with. Help you to really think through sort of, what the plan is, and help you give yourself permission to organize yourself around your business and around your family in a way that you can strike balance. But the point is, don't think that you should be an island, because you can't. You have to reach out to people. And I'm going to pause right there because this is a good time for a prize as I see the numbers growing on the live. So Tony and Adrian have been very generous in donating a prize. And really quickly, Adrian, can you just show your hat? Yes. So this is I'm not sure the other fabric, but that is a leather embossed a hat. It's a really, really high quality hat that Adrian is donating as a prize. And Derek Holmes, I haven't seen Derek on yet, but if anyone knows him, you might want to let him know that he has won this hat because he was the first person to register for the virtual learning series. And he needs to inbox Pet and Mind on Facebook to redeem his prize. And Adrian will make sure that he receives his hat. And so for the next prize, I'm going to let you talk about, Tony, really quickly before I jump to you, Adrian, and get your input on sort of, reaching out and leaning on people. Tony, yours is subscribing to your website. So if you can just tell them what they will win if the first person to subscribe to your website.
Yes. So if you go to our website, www.yapehairskinllc.com, and subscribe to our website during this live, we have a free Yape gift set, and those are valued at $60. It's a 8-ounce hair and skin butter, a moisturizer, our 2 body butters, and one of our men's beard creams. So go on there and subscribe. The first person to subscribe to our website will get that gift package.
Okay, so listen, I'm giving you permission to leave this live. I mean, $60 in value, all of that stuff. And listen, I use her products, and I swear by the lemongrass hair and skin butter. It's wonderful. So if you need to run over to subscribe to her website so you can win that gift set right now, go ahead and do it. You see it coming, the website at the bottom in the ticker. Do that, but make sure you come back. Make sure you come back. All right. So Adrian, if you could, tell us a little bit about how reaching out to people maybe in the pet industry, mentors, how that helped you in launching out into the deep. Again, remembering that your path was different from Tony's. You literally started from an idea. I mean, I remember sitting in our living room and it's like, I think I'm going to go and apply for this corporate job. And I'm like, no, it's time for you to live your dream. You're going to start your business and we'll figure the rest out. And then, it was off to the races from there. But, it would be awesome if you could just give a little bit of insight on how you reached out and built a network to sort of support that.
Sure. So, I mean, I think my personality fit me jumping off into the deep. I suffer with being a perfectionist because I'm not I don't need perfection. I can wade through the mud and so now that gets in the way sometimes, especially like where the point I am now, where we've grown to the point where there has to be systems and stuff in place. So now I need perfection. So it's not as, so it was great at first. So sometimes the gift is also the curse that we're working on. But what I realized at first when I was doing everything myself, I was doing everything and it wasn't been done well. So I realized I had to spend money to make money, and it was scary to spend lots of money on marketing, lots of money on somebody building a professional website, lots of money on all the different things to make it professional. Because what I realize is, again, I'll say it again, if you don't take it serious and it doesn't look professional, then how do you expect customers to? So at some point you can sell to just your friends and just your family. But if you really want to take it to a level, even if you're not doing it full time, if you want it to be professional and somebody to take notice of it, you have to do it at a level that professionals can do it at. And I didn't have experience in doing all of that, so I paid for it. Now, as far as mentors, that's something I'm developing, as you know. Growing up without a father, I really became self-sufficient and just getting it done myself. And that's one of the things that I got very good at, is being an island as a medical device sales rep. My boss was in Arkansas, or Mississippi, and I'm in Florida or DC, and I had a quota, and as long as I hit my numbers, leave me alone, and that's how it worked. But then you get out and you're actually on an island by yourself as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, and blazing the trail. You have to find somebody to talk to and bounce ideas off of. So early on, I got involved in a group called Pet Boss Nation. The lady that does it is she had about 15 years in the pet industry. She's a good connector. She has a lot of resources and stuff. Again, I had to pay for that, though. It was a consultant, it was a mentor, and it wasn't free. And I'm actually even going to a higher level with her simply because of what I'm doing now. I'm in totally new territory, but I realize in order to take territory, I want to point on something before you cut me off, because I know you're about to. Going back to a point is, with my journey been a little different from Tony, who's still doing her day job and loving it and doing this on the side. I jumped out and I was depressed for that 2 years of planning the business and trying to figure out how, why, and where, and why did they do me that way, and all the different things that are going through my head. And I talked to a young man a few weeks ago because he wants to get his business going a little bit better and figuring out how to get it off the ground. He's doing it, but it's not as well as and he said he's depressed. And I looked up and I said, man, anything worth breaking through is going to require some resistance. Depression, I think a lot of times is just that seed in the ground trying to break out, right? So I do it depressed, do it fearful, because those days will leave. I mean, the first 2.5, 3 years of it, Malia, I would go to that store every day. Great that I'm good at consistency and I believe in it, but I was depressed going to a business that I owned, that I was proud of, and everybody's patting me on the back, and I was still depressed because it was hard. And I didn't know what I was doing. My past was still haunting me on why that happened. But what I realized is now the sun is shining. So do it depressed, do it scared, but the most important thing is start. And I don't mean with a lot of money. I can talk about how I funded my business later, because I know you got questions, but you don't need money to plan, or you don't need money to network. You don't need money to brainstorm. Some things are free, and it's a step process. You can't get to step 5 until you do steps 1, 2, and 3. And
I mean, just from a giant slayer perspective, I think, that's something that I often see is, people listen, if you want an excuse, you'll find it. There is no shortage of excuses. And, whether that's funding, whether that's know-how, whether that is, familial responsibilities, like, how can I, launch a business and I have all of these things at home. But, what I would encourage, all of you is just what Adrian and what Tony have said so far is, do it afraid, just take one step, just do every day, just make a decision to take a step forward. And, I think even that depression is fear-based, right? Because there is still some uncertainty on how it's going to turn out. Because, for a lot of us who are starting in entrepreneurship, we may or may not have had someone go before us to do it. right? And so we don't have a blueprint for, how to organize the business and, how to, look at, sales and revenue and loans and versus not getting a loan versus a grant. I mean, we really don't have that know-how, because a lot of us don't come from communities where entrepreneurship is taught and is evident, and popular and common. And so it really is sort of being an astronaut, like, you're the first one to do it. And that's always terrifying. But what I will say is, and my sister, she's going to laugh, but nothing beats a failure but a try, right? Nothing beats a failure but a try. The only way that you can confidently, one, grow is sometimes you are going to fall short.
Mm-hmm.
You are going to make mistakes. I can talk about, my business, even, being gainfully employed, love my day job, but very passionate about my business. I can recognize things that I could have done earlier, that could have allowed me to be more productive, to build my client base, to, do better with networking. That advice that I gave you, Tony, about an accountant is something that we learned early with Adrian's business. And that as my business continues to grow, that, even I'm sort of like, all right, I really got to tighten up. And that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Again, do not, I'm going to put the ticker across the bottom again, because it's so important. Do not allow perfection to get in the way of progress. Some of you who are listening are stuck on the bench because you're waiting for the perfect moment. You're waiting for the perfect opportunity. You're waiting to have all of the money, all of the finances in order. And the reality is, that day may never come. And are you really okay with leaving this earth not having fulfilled a passion, a vision, purpose, because you allow fear to keep you stuck on the bench? And I hope the answer to that question is no. But let's go back and talk about funding, since you brought it up, Adrian. And I'm gonna go to you first, Tony, because you mentioned it. One of the benefits of keeping your day job, which I can fully attest to, is that you are able to really pour a lot of the capital into the business from your salary.
Yes.
Talk about that a little bit.
Yes. So my husband too, when you have to think about when you're married, like, I don't get to make these decisions on my own, I have to, he fully believes in me and is ready to invest everything he got into it as well. So we both take our wages and whatever we, now that we're getting bigger, we're buying stuff in bulk. So that's more money, but I will tell you, it's gotten to a point where the business is starting to sustain itself and I'm not having to come so much out of my own pocket. I am doing out of my own pocket as far as like investments. It's like the accountant. I'm recently working on trademarking my my logo and my name, that kind of thing. Investments, investing in my brand, investing in my company. I am doing that. Like I said, I have the 401k. I don't want to lose out on that in my company match. But yeah, I've been blessed to be in a place to be able to fund myself. And just a thought, I don't know if my sister's on this live. I hope she is. And I hope she's hearing everything you're saying about just do it, because I want her to start her business so bad. My hope is that we're in a position to be able to help her finance her business. And, being able to help other people, if not just not monetary, like just like the knowledge, people don't understand how valuable that is. Everything you're saying, Malia, I'm telling you, I'm sitting here like, oh, I can't wait to go back and watch this and write down everything Malia said. Like, that piece is invaluable when you're talking about your business. Like, listen to what's being said. That piece you can't put a price on. Like, if I had all of this when I first started, and let me just say too, I quit this job every day. I can't think of a week that I haven't quit. Y'all pay, okay? I'm like, I quit. And my husband thinks it's funny because I was on the outside looking in. I'm like, he make his own hours. He gets to come and go as he please. you know, and now I'm like, wait a minute, when we go on vacation, his phone is always ringing. And wait a minute, like he don't sit down. Like, so I'm like, I just lost my train of thought, but I just really hope people are really, really, really absorbing all of this and writing this down, because this piece, outside of the money that you don't, if you got this stuff, this free stuff, I'm telling you, you are like 90% there. I'm serious. You are 90% there, and the money is just a small piece. Okay. Like if you got this, you way beyond where I was when I started. So just think about that.
Right. And just before I shoot to you, Adrienne, I just wanted to say, you know, Forbes reported recently that entrepreneurs who kept their day jobs were 33% more likely to succeed. And, you know, that's, again, I'm not pushing one way or the other, because I think, you know, it's different strokes for different folks. And you have to do a real assessment of where you are in your ability to launch out and quit your day job. And that's going to be unique to each of us. But, you know, I think that there are some definite benefits from, you know, being able to hold on to your day job, prove your concept sort of as a side hustle that grows into a business. You can learn different things about, you know, the appropriate structure for your business from a legal and tax perspective. You can spend time networking and growing your business sort of at a pace that is more comfortable with whatever, you know, your ultimate timeline is, because again, you're not completely reliant on it to sustain and pay for your life. So there's definite benefits. And I think because of that, you see an increase in the percentage of entrepreneurs who are able to be successful long-term when you are able to do that. But I don't want that to discourage people who find themselves in Adrienne's situation, where it is now or never. Because I want to say this and hear me very clear. There are windows in our life, right? There are opportunities that come in windows. And sometimes when your window is open and you allow fear, doubt, anxiety, other people's opinions, to deter you from going through your window at the time that it's open for you to launch out, you just may miss your opportunity to start your business and to get everything that would have been sort of available to you during that time of provision, because there are seasons in our lives where, you know, things are moving in the right direction, where I believe God really opens things up and allows you to be able to even walk through that window to launch out. So you know when your window is, and you need to go when it's time to go. But if you have the ability to, you know, have a longer term plan that includes some overlap with a full-time career, then that's great. And you should make sure that you are doing what Adrienne did and what Tony said that she did, and definitely what I'm doing, which is taking those learnings from that full-time job and being able to apply it to the business. Tony is a chemist. She's a midwife. I mean, all of the things that she's gathered over the years really have poured into her ability to successfully own and operate this skin and hair care line. For me, the mentorship, leading a global program, all of the things that I do for my day job really sets me up and puts me in position to be able to do what I'm doing now. And Adrienne, definitely, we already talked about marketing and sales and learning how to write a business plan, all of those things. But don't miss your window because of fear. Don't miss your window because, again, you're waiting for perfection. So now, Adrienne, I just want to turn to you for a second and have you talk a little bit about, what it was like pulling that business plan together.
Well, can I talk about funding too?
Oh, yes. Sorry. Yep.
Because the way I funded my business is a little known way. I didn't even know about it until I researched different ways. Because obviously capital is a big deal. Even whether you're starting in your house, or whether you're opening a whole store and trying to put products on the shelves and make it look right. I use my 401k that I had amassed over a little bit over a decade and flipped into a corporation, and they actually don't even require you don't take a hit at all. You can put it all into the company. Now, we were fortunate enough my wife could float us while we do this, but that's a way you can do it. But another way you can do it that anybody can do is start building business credit. Now, that's a whole course that we can talk about, but it's simple. Only thing you need to do is incorporate LLC, C Corp, S Corp, and then once you incorporate and get the Secretary of State thing and everything in order, go to different vendors, office product vendors and things like that. And I actually should be charging for this information. But go to office product vendors like Office Depot, I think has one, Staples, others that sell like mops and stuff, and you can get a business account that gives you 30-day terms. And those terms, they may give you 15-day terms, 10-day terms. The only thing those terms mean is you can order the product, they'll send it to you, and you have to pay within those 30 days or those 10 days. Now, what that does is certain companies out there, I know who they are. You can research them too. Report to business credit agencies. So you have business credit, you have personal credit. Business credit is something that most people don't even know exists. As you can buy a pack of printer paper for your printer, or bottles for your business, Tony, or Malia, whatever you need, microphones or whatever, from these companies that actually report to the business credit reporting agencies, and then you start building business credit. So you do that. The only thing you're doing is paying for what you were going to buy anyway, just paying for it in those terms. As long as you do it on time, you're building credit, and then all of a sudden, in 6 months, a year, now you qualify for a credit card or a loan. And you didn't do anything other than your normal, what you had to do to start the business.
That's a loan on the business, not a personal loan.
No, it's a loan on the business. And you did nothing other than you had to buy the printer paper. You had to buy the bottles. You had to just buy them from the right place and incorporate first. It was free to incorporate in Florida. You pay, I think, like $75 or something to incorporate, and then it's free to get an EIN number from the federal government. So do it, and then start building business credit over the next year while you got your job or whatever. And then all of a sudden, you can get a loan because you have business credit. Now it's not a personal thing anymore, and you can't get locked out and all the stuff people talk about because this is a business. And then you can fund your business. So it's ways to do things and continue doing it. You don't know that though.
I want to know in the comments, who wants a 30-minute virtual learning series on building business credit? If you would benefit from that, so that we can go through in more detail, and I'm going to force them to do it because each one teach one. This is how we get that. Right. Yeah. Of course, don't mix personal credit with business credit. Well, that one is, not what we're saying. This is straight business credit, and Adrian was able to do that and can teach. So if you would like a 30-minute virtual learning series session just on business credit, just drop some comments and let me know, and we'll come back, and I might make that the next one, because again, the goal here is to empower and equip us all to be able to move into entrepreneurship, whether that's while maintaining a full-time job, or whether that is like Adrian, you are all the way out. And let me tell you something, he literally learned these things just by like asking people and reading. Probably more reading than asking people. He's just now getting really good at asking people questions, but reading a lot. And so what we want to do is be able to share those learnings forward, which brings me back to an earlier point. How often have you spoken with somebody in your specific area, Tony, whether it's hair and skincare, Adrian, if it's in the pet food industry, who have been open to talk about what didn't go right?
I mean, I was just on a call today. Was I first? I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I was just on a call today about diversity in the pet industry, and it's not much. And they want me to participate in that because I'm one of the few. So to be honest with you, it's not much out there. What we got to do better doing as a community is I don't care what color they are. Ask them, talk to them. What you'll find is people, you can bridge the gap with people. Most of my customers are white. I mean, let's be honest. And I'm darker than most people on this earth. So I don't let things hinder you. People have information. If they won't tell you, somebody else has it. But I learned about everything. I either did the research or I asked somebody that did it before me. And I think a lot of times you don't take yourself serious yet, so you're not willing to put yourself out there and get your feelings hurt. I take myself very serious on what I'm doing with this business. I mean, who am I to think that we can franchise anything, but we're going to do it because we put the work in. We put the work in, and you can't hide work, and you can't take away work. So my point with that funding is not even the funding. It's to put the steps in place. Go get incorporated. That's simple. So when we talk about steps and doing things to get to where you want to be, and then we complaining about people are holding us back, in reality, it's simple things you can do that are free that will put you in a place that you can start to prepare things that then you can get what you and get to where you need to be. It's just not overnight.
Right. So, Tony, I'm going to ask you now, have people been forthcoming, maybe that you've reached out to about shortcomings? And I'm going somewhere with this, which is why I'm asking about what hasn't worked that has allowed you to sort of bypass some hardships because you've gotten some honest insight into pros and cons.
You know, I don't think they had, like, you hear, you know, there's this little saying, you see the glory, you see the glory, but you don't know the story. People, they'll tell you, you know, how they made it, you know. I don't think I haven't really had an experience where people are just like, don't do this, you know, like nobody's really doing that with me. And I think I don't really do that enough either.
And that's where I'm going. And that's exactly where I'm going with this is that, you know, I think, you know, as a community, and when I say a community, I'm not being exclusive to Black people. I'm entrepreneurial community. You know, being better at, you know, talking about, you know, what doesn't work, you know, what, you know, where you fell short in an area or what you learned, I think is almost more powerful than hearing the success stories.
Yeah.
Right. Because, you know, those are the things that, you know, people can learn from without having to experience, right? Like if I just learned a very, very valuable lesson from my accountant that I'm like, gosh, now I wish somebody would have told me that. I mean, I would have done that. No problem. It would have been just as easy to do it that way, which was a better way from a tax perspective than the way I did it, but I just didn't know. But that goes back to an earlier point is that, you know, you cannot be an island and you cannot expect people to chase you down with information. So, you know, reaching out, you know, whatever the industry is that you're in, you know, being proactive about, you know, finding someone, to Adrian's point, not allowing your feelings of insignificance deter you from picking up the phone and asking a question, whether you know someone or not. And in fact, I just reached out to someone today about something, and I got an honest answer that wasn't favorable for me. But then I followed up with, well, okay, well, what's the better way? You know, what's a better way that I might approach this for the next time that I reach out to someone? And you know, what was your reason for no? And then, you know, what would you suggest? Right. And that hasn't always been something that I personally have been comfortable doing. One, because you don't think people want to spend the time in giving that kind of advice, and people are open to it. So, you know, I'd say, you know, that's, you know, either way, being willing to be vulnerable in business. When you are starting a business, you've got to reach a certain level of vulnerability where you are willing to be honest about what you don't know. And ask the question, you know, what, you know, tell me what didn't go well. You know, tell me what you learned from, you know, the things that you didn't succeed at. because it's in those things that we learn how to progress and to get better. So I want to interject one more prize here.
Can I say something before you do the prize before we lose that point?
Uh-huh.
Because I mean, it's called imposter syndrome, and I deal with that now. And when I talk to people and they ask me questions, I tell them is that if you're not doing something because you're fearful or because you don't know how, because you're scared of what people are going to say, then you're never going to do it. Because here I am, almost 6 years into a process, and I still feel like an imposter, and I do it every day. So at some point, you have to move forward with what you know has been put into you, because you're always going to feel like the room is laughing at you. However, what I found out is most of the time the room is looking at you like, how are they doing that? So keep doing it, but you got to start.
That's good. That's good. You know, and I think, you know, that applies to those who are starting businesses and those who are in career. That imposter thing is real. You know, that sense of, you know, do I really belong here? You know, can I really do this? But, you know, that's where faith comes in. You know, I ain't gonna start preaching on this thing, but some things just can't be avoided. Like knowing who you are and being confident in who you are and who you were created to be. And moving forward, even on days when you don't feel like that. Because that's the thing, you know, business is not about a feeling. Career is not about a feeling. Launching that ministry is not about a feeling. There's going to be some days when you have all of the energy and you're excited about it, and that passion is driving you forward. And then there's going to be other days when you're looking around and you have all of these competing obligations and responsibilities. If you have a family, if you have kids, you have all of these things and you may not feel like it. But to Adrian's point, it's still about showing up. It's still about, you know, making a decision in your mind that you're going to do it and that you're not going to give yourself permission to quit. Because that's what we do so often, is we give ourselves permission to quit. When the going gets tough, we get going. And, you know, that's just not, it's not a mindset that leads to sustainability in business and career, in any area where you're really trying to grow and progress. So stop giving yourself permission to quit. So now I do want to go to one more prize. Again, Yape has been so generous with their prizes. But in order to get this prize, you're going to have to do a little something for Yape. We've already done the website. So I'm going to put a ticker across the bottom of the screen. The first person to go to Yape Hair and Skin on Facebook wins a prize. You have to like it. I'm sorry. Like Yape Hair and Skin on Facebook. It's a business page. She's going to get a notification and she's watching. So she knows who the last person was that liked her page. And so the first person after that is going to win this prize. And do you want to talk a little bit about what the prize is, Tony?
Yes, so it's a gift set. We're giving out 3 gift sets today. It's our hair and skin butter, our moisturizer, our 2 body butters, and our men's beard cream.
All right. So in the interest of time, why don't we just go ahead? You have 3, so you have 1 more, right?
Yep.
So let's go ahead and give this last one away.
Okay.
So you have Facebook, Yape Hair and Skin on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And if you're really quick on the draw, you can go and like Yape _hair_skin on Instagram and win that last gift prize from Yape Hair and Skin.
Mm-hmm.
And I give you permission again to leave this broadcast to go win this prize, but you better come back. We're watching. All right. And so as we're sort of getting into the last little bit of the broadcast, now this is the question. I've been waiting. I want to know from both of you, starting with Adrian, because I think you probably are going to have a very, I don't know. I don't even know if I want you to answer. If you had to do it all over again, would you launch out into the deep without having the safety net of career, or would you, and forget about the circumstances that may have led to you making the decision you made at the time, all things being perfect, all things being equal, if you could do it again, which would you choose? Stay or go? And why?
I would go. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an independent person. I'm an independent thinker. I hate being in a box. I hate being told what to do. So what I realized, I loved what I did before. I mean, I love being in surgery. I love seeing brains. I love talking to surgeons. I'm a nerd. However, I also like the empowerment of creating something. I realized that I think God put us on this earth for a couple of things. One is to affect other people in a positive way, and then number two is to create what He told us to do. And I know what I've been told to create. I'm creating it. So I feel good about it. I wake up every day with a purpose. It's not easy. It's hard. People that want to start a business, I'll be honest with you. People that want to start a business and do it full time, not if you're doing it as a side job, but if you want to do it full time, if you don't like working for nobody else and you can't get out the bed to go to your day job to work for whoever, you're not going to do it when you're working for yourself, because nobody is telling me to get up. Malia goes and starts doing what she's doing. And she's not asking me, nobody checking in with me to make sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. So, but no, I would go. I'm not saying that for everybody, especially the way I did it. I mean, it's a thin line, and I've been able to walk that line by the grace of God, but because of what I'm doing and my passion and with things that I've been able to put in place. But I would go, and I think if you look at the times and you look at what's going on right now, in my opinion, this is just a rebirth. Something is dying away and something's going to grow from it. So I think it's time to go if you're thinking about it, because something is going to grow from these ashes. Watch.
I agree. And before I get to you, Tony, I just want to, on the heels of that, I figured that you would say that you would still choose to go and, leave your day job and launch out into the deep, because that's just who you are. My expert advice as a coach is that if you do decide that you know that you're getting to that place where you want to launch out and you don't want to have any overlap between your day job and your business, is that you do plan. There is wisdom in planning, and to the extent that it's possible for you to have 6 to 12 months of living expenses saved, I would strongly encourage you to do that. Now, in our case with Adrian, that was not possible because of the way he was sort of forced into entrepreneurship. But of course, I was still working, and so we were able to maintain our family that way and really didn't lose anything. But if you are the sole income for your family, for yourself, and you are thinking about starting a business, I would strongly advise you to ensure that you are stacking up and reserving 6 to 12 months of living expenses before you do that. So that's just a little bit of Giant Slayer free coaching advice for you. Now I'm going to turn to Tony and ask you if you could do it all over again. And I think you've probably pretty much stated this already earlier. Do you think you would do things the same way?
As far as staying on my job, definitely I would stay, only because I'm so needed. Like I said, one of 2 Black midwives in Southern Ohio. There's not a lot of Black midwives in Ohio in general. The work that I do, that I'm very, very passionate about, just as much as I am about my business, infant mortality, Black women, health disparities, I have to have my foot, even if I leave today and go full-time yape, somewhere my foot is going to be somewhere in being with Black moms and breastfeeding and infant mortality and infant vitality. I have to be, for my sanity, I have to be somewhere in the mix with that as well. I just want to say really quick too, Entrepreneurship is not for everybody. I'm finding out, like, it is very, very hard. And let me just give the disclaimer for, I'm creating this picture like, oh, still on your job is so great. So for me, I work like 8 to 5. So in those hours, I'm busy. I don't have time to do yape. Like, I don't have time. So that's 8 hours out of my 24 hours that I don't get to do whatever towards my business. And then I come home and I'm a wife and I'm a baby and I'm breastfeeding and my baby, I'm a mother. I got 3 teenage boys. They're in basketball. They're doing all this. So my hours of yape are 6 until when I don't get a lot of sleep. Like, it's hard. Okay. It's so hard, but you have to be able to find a balance in your life to be able to do it the way that I'm doing it. And like I said, there's not a week that goes by that I don't say I quit yape. And my husband's always like, this what you wanted? Like, it's very, 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 very hard thing to do. And something else that also helps me, I have a group of business women that we bounce ideas off of one another. This is where I can vent to, like, when I can't get a hold of Malia, when I'm having my nervous breakdown, and she, and my accountant is like, girl, calm down. I have this group that I can go to. And also, like, money wise, with the comfort level, another reason why I stay, I didn't want to put that on my husband. Like, I'm like, gosh, like I said, I love my job, but I didn't want to be like, I did go down in my hours. I was 40 hours. I went down 4 hours, and that's huge for me. If you know my personality, I got to be doing a million things. I did go down 4 hours, but I really wanted to make sure that my family was comfortable with the decision that I was making, and that it didn't impact us so much, because we were very comfortable, and I was like, I don't want to shift my family too much right now. So I was like, okay, let me just stay. And like I said, even in my heart of hearts, I know I'm never, ever gonna all the way, I don't know, maybe one day, all the way be out of public health in some form, or, all the way be doing 100% yape, just because, of what, like, my heart for it, even chemistry, my heart for it. Even if my business was huge and I wasn't like there every day, which was my dream for somebody else to be running it, I still want to be looking at the numbers and seeing the formulas on the I gotta have my hand in some kind.
I think one thing that's key.
You can do that, Tony.
I think one thing
strategy. Every business got an extra strategy. You don't have to run it day to day. You can just let somebody else grow it. It's still yours.
Yeah, I haven't got over letting it go yet. I'm still got to have my hand in it.
Oh, and now listen, delegating and, giving away some of the responsibility is definitely growth in entrepreneurship. I mean, Adrian was the same way. He stood in that store for the first couple of years, 6-7 days a week. I mean, and the reality is you can't do it all. Mm-hmm. You can't. And so, he had to make the investment in help to be able to come in to give himself, some break, because there is a such thing as burnout. And as much as you love yape, and as much as you love, being a midwife and all of the things you do in between, the reality is you got to use wisdom and recognize we get 24 hours in a day. We have to manage those, and we have to have some time for self-care, or we're good for no one. We're not good for the business. We're not good for the career. We're not good for the family. And that's not good. But I want to address something really quickly that both of you said about entrepreneurship, because a lot of people look at entrepreneurship as a way out of, their day job. Adrian, you said something important. You said that if you are not sort of hustling, if you are not out in front in career, if you are not making things happen where you are now, then you might want to think twice about launching out into entrepreneurship, because it really requires even more hustle, because there's nobody checking in on you. There's nobody holding you accountable but yourself. And, and if you're the kind of person that needs somebody to tap you on the shoulder every now and then and say, get to work, really you're going to struggle in entrepreneurship. And then Tony, you said something, as well, in terms of, not everybody is cut out for entrepreneurship. And, that is true because of the sacrifices that are necessary in order for you to be successful. There is a lot, again, whether you stay or go, entrepreneurship requires sacrifice. And, if you are staying at your career, this is one thing that I am a huge, huge, huge proponent of. You cannot decide to stay at your career, at your job, keep your day job, and give them less than what they're due because you're trying to run your business on their time.
Mm-hmm.
That is an integrity issue. That is a reaping and sowing issue. There's a whole lot wrong with that. So, I don't want to at all give the impression that continuing on with your day job for any other reason than mine or Tony's, which is we love what we do and we are fully committed to the day job. It's not about keeping your day job so you can sneak in and build your business on company time. That's wrong on a lot of different levels. So it really is about finding that balance in how you manage your time to make sure you're giving your job the time and the attention that is required by contract because you work there, as well as then being able to go harder and go longer off business hours to really invest the time in your business. And to Tony's point, that does require you to lose some sleep.
Mm-hmm.
My husband is telling me all the time, Malia, like you can't be on 24/7. Like you gotta come down. We have a new baby. We have a 9-month-old as well. And it's like, I gotta just remind myself it's time to shut down. I gotta shut down Striker. I gotta shut down Giant Slayer, and I need to be present for my family. But that balance sometimes is difficult. But don't shortchange your day job if you decide to stay.
Yeah.
All right. So as we start to wrap up, I really thank both of you for your time. I think people really got a lot out of this. Again, the goal was really to have a discussion about stay or go. And I think what we've learned through this is there isn't one right or wrong answer. That for some people, staying and continuing to maintain their day job because it's their passion, because they need to do it, to have that, that sustainable income is the way to go. And then for some people, you might be forced into a situation where entrepreneurship is now. I'd say for Adrian, I'm just going to give a little bit a part of his testimony. Adrian was kicked out of the window. He probably should have launched out into entrepreneurship a little earlier than he did. And I talked about windows earlier. Sometimes if you don't jump out of the window when it's open when you're supposed to, the good Lord will give you a favor and he'll go and kick you out of the window. Especially when I tell you, it feels a lot better to go ahead and jump out, kick out. So when you know that you have this passion, you know that you have this pull to entrepreneurship, it's what you're supposed to be doing, really seek to understand what your timeline is and hold yourself accountable to that if it means leaving your job to go into full-time entrepreneurship. Because one, you don't want to miss your window and you don't want to sort of be forced into it because you delayed and you waited and put yourself into a situation where, that becomes really the only viable option for you. And so you're having to learn a lot fast rather than, have, some of the ability to learn as you continue to do your day job. So just food for thought. Don't get kicked out of the window. Jump. We do have a question. Does Giant Slayer have a... yes, cousin. We do have a Venmo. But I'm going to give you my Cash App. You can, if you want a Cash App Giant Slayer, although this is completely free, we turn down not $1. The Cash App $ Giant Slayers Care. That's GIANTSLAYERSCARE. If you just feel compelled. I'm turning down no coins. Why? Because I'm an entrepreneur,
Right.
and I believe in making the coin. Okay. But this was certainly free. So there is one more giveaway from Giant Slayer. Let me find it before we go. So I want to drive y'all to my YouTube page, because my YouTube page, listen, I am dropping some real knowledge on YouTube that I'm making available on Facebook, but I really want you guys to go to YouTube. So if the first 3 people, and I have my YouTube open now, so I'm watching, to go and subscribe, and Mom, you are excluded from this, just by the way, because I see you trying to win everything. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Giant Slayer, GENTSLYR on YouTube. You will win a t-shirt from the Fear is My Enemy collection. And of course, size, it's dependent on having the size in the style shirt that you want. But you will, and we are excluding our hashtag George Floyd Essential Black Father shirt from this giveaway, but all of the other merchandise on the giantslayer.com website is up for grabs for the first 5 people to subscribe to my YouTube channel. All right. So I'm checking. I know who I had. I know the 10 people I had subscribed before, so I'll know. Oh yes, I can type that Cash App. Listen, my cousin is so serious about my little Cash App, so I'm gonna give it to him, because I mean, apparently he loves me enough to want to Cash App my business some money, and I'm gonna let him do it. But as we wrap up, any parting words of advice for the burgeoning entrepreneurs? Adrian.
For me, I mean, I guess most people watching this probably have some type of inkling, at least, that they want to start something. They have an idea. Maybe they already started it, just want to take it further. Maybe they're far down the road. I don't know. But what I've learned is that my faith that God is like think about it like this. If you got this new job and you got to make it to the bus stop, but the bus stop is a mile away, and you might have to you got to walk there, right? Because you're going to the bus stop. It might rain. You might not have an umbrella. You might have to take a detour because of construction. Somebody might try to rob you. It might be cold. All the obstacles in the way. If you just continue and get to that bus stop, what I've learned is that provision will be there. Provision has been there along the way. I didn't know how I was going to pay bills early on. I didn't know. I mean, I'm literally in the business crying. Y'all know I'm a crybaby. Literally in the business crying because I didn't know how I was going to do it, and I didn't want to fail. And then things would happen, and it was due to faith, consistency, and persevering to what I know the purpose was in my heart. But the only way that you can even unlock all that is that you have to start. It's steps to this process, right? Whether you got it today or tomorrow, whether you plan or not, you have to start doing something towards putting the business together. Tony started doing formulas and writing it down. That was planning. That was business planning. Whether you want to call it that or not, that's what it was, because at the end of the day, you're creating something, you're formulating something. I mean, an artist starts with the sketch, and then they fill it in with more lines, and then color, and then they put the lacquer on it at the end. It's a step process to pitch it and paint it with the first stroke, right? But you got to put that first stroke on the canvas in order to get to the work of art, which might be years later. It looks like an overnight success because we on here talking about it now because we feel like we've gotten far enough down the road that I'm confident enough to give you some advice that I think is actually right, because I put the work in. But at the end of the day, I'm no farther than you are. I just started.
Right. That's good. That's really good. Tony?
Yeah, I would have to agree with everything he said about your faith. Your spiritual foundation is going to be so important. And I want people to understand, like, for me, going into hair and skin, I feel like that was a big market. And I feel like understanding that the Most High, He's gonna make room for you in whatever it is you're doing. And I was told this, like, if you don't believe in it, in your brand, who else is gonna believe in it? You know, this really just got me like, I don't believe when my coach, Coach Monique Smith of Upscale Consulting, said to me, I don't believe you. I don't believe you have a business. She said, if you don't believe it, who else is gonna believe it? So I really, really just started believing in myself. And you know, kind of like Adrian said, why not? Why not me? Why can't I be here? Why can't I do this? Why can't I blow up? Why can't I do all this stuff? Just really, really walking in and believing it. And I totally agree about those provisions. They will be made for you. Everything will be supplied that you need if you trust and believe that God can do it for you. It's like, really, and don't wait. You know, like I said, I hope my sister is on this. I'm like, please just do it. You know, before I went to grad school, my two best friends from college were like, I kept going on and on about, I want to go to grad school. I want to be a midwife. I want to be a midwife. Every time I ran into them, I want to be a midwife. Every time we got together, and the one was just like, shut up. Like, I don't want to hear you say you want to be a midwife again until you do it. Don't talk about it anymore. Do it or shut up. And I was just like, okay, like, I'm gonna shut up. Like, I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna show you, you know, and it's not about showing anybody, but don't just talk about it, be about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Action.
Yeah.
Taking action and not allowing, y'all know my thing. Fear is your enemy. Fear is your enemy. And let me qualify that. Fear that you allow stop your forward progress is your enemy. Because the reality is we all have fear. Fear will always come. You know, the higher you go, the more intense it might get. But, you know, the difference is, you know, the people who allow it to propel them, allow it to sort of be a force and really war with it and win just by putting one foot in front of the other. And those who allow it to become a limiting belief. And that fear becomes a ceiling that only allows you to go so far. And you're looking around your life and you wonder why you're frustrated. You wonder why you're aggravated. You wonder why you're jealous. You look on Facebook and you might be watching this like, who does she think she is? Well, I'm somebody who wasn't afraid to start a business and to offer information to other people who wanted to learn. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying I have it all together. But what I've done is I've said, I'm going to get out of my own way. I'm going to take the cap off of myself. I'm not going to let anybody else's thoughts about me, anybody else's limitations block me. And I'm going to do it anyway. And I think that's what both of you are saying so beautifully and so powerfully, is that it is difficult whether you stay or go. You're going to have challenges both ways. But don't let your decision to launch in general be dictated by fear, by the work that it takes, because it's worth it in the end. Because I will tell you, you know, even being able to do things like this and, you know, seeing the comments and people really are gaining and getting something out of this is so powerful, because we said yes, because Adrian said yes, because Tony said yes, because I said yes. Now we're here, we're able to encourage and empower other people to launch out and to do what they need to do. And so we all have to realize that even if you don't feel it to do it for yourself, do it for the generations coming behind you. Do it for your children that are watching, because all of us should be planting a seed of entrepreneurship in our children, because we might be faced with a world real soon where that's their only option, is to go out here and create and to build and to sustain and to build wealth. And the reason why I'm just gonna draw right back to some cultural stuff real quick, because one of the reasons that there's such a disparity for Black people is because of lack of ownership. It's because our children are trained to grow up and punch a time clock, you know, to go get their education and figure out where they can go and work. And I'm not, again, entrepreneurship is not for everyone. And some of them certainly should. We need them. We need midwives. We need doctors, lawyers. We need us to have those jobs, but we also need to be teaching entrepreneurship. we also need to be teaching them the ability to create wealth, independent wealth, so that there is no cap on their earning potential. So that's my little soapbox. We're going to end there. Again, I'm so thankful for all of you who joined us, who got something out of this. Again, this is just the first of many virtual learning series. Please feel free to send your suggestions. If you have a suggestion right now, we talked about the business credit. I'm going to really have to work hard on my husband and motivate him to come and give this class. And I know he will, because after all, I'm his wife and he loves me.
Well,
But,
let me say something to that before you go. And this is a 5-second spiel, but everybody wants to know what their purpose is. And I'll tell you what your purpose is people. That's it. It's other people. And figure out what your passion is and reach people through it. And God will supply it. Okay?
That's good. That's good. And so just before we go, Tony.
So therefore, I might think about the credit class because of that. That's the only reason.
Yay! He's in, y'all. We're going to do that. But if you have any other suggestions on other things that you would like to know about business, about anything related to launching out business, ministry, advancing in your career, Giant Slayer really focuses on helping women do it all. Getting over the hump to do it. But if there's any specific topics that you would like us to address in our learning series, leave it in the comments. Send me a message on our Facebook page. But Tony, people are wanting to know if they won your prizes.
Yes, I know, Miss Camilla, you won. I have.
Yeah, that's like you see the sweepstakes on TV. Family can't win the sweepstakes.
Right.
Well, she won. Oh, she won one.
And then I have Carrie Gibson.
Yay!
On Instagram, I am Coco Jones. Is that somebody here?
That's her.
Okay, I am Coco Jones.
Yes.
I don't know who that is. Yeah.
And so, there was 3. You, 1, Yape.
And then look at her scream. Coco, I am Coco Jones. Whoever Coco Jones is, was the next person. Or maybe they're not on this live. I don't know.
That's the same person. So Carrie Gibson is the same person as
Coco Jones.
Coco. So Coco,
okay.
you can't win. So you got to go to the second person.
Steam Childcare. Steam _ Childcare.
Steam _ Is that?
It says Alexander Girl.
Yes, that's Tirza.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna just put it here so you know. And what do they need to do to claim it?
I need your products.
So they can message us on Yapay, on our business page, like their address, and then I'll get these shipped out to them. Yeah, Miss Camilla already have your address because you already shop with us. Appreciate you. Yes, but yeah, just message us your address and we'll ship these out in 5 to 7 business days.
Right. All right. Well, I sure hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm looking forward to the next one. Again, thank you so much for taking the time, Tony. I know you have the baby and the family, and again, balancing being all of those things, mother, wife, midwife, business owner, and doing all so well. I appreciate your time. I know it was a sacrifice for you. And thank you so much, Honey Bunny. I really appreciate your support as always. And listen, I hope you guys got out of this. Again, please send me more ideas. We'll be back on with the next virtual learning series shortly. I'll announce the next date here soon. Y'all have a good night. Bye-bye.